Hi, welcome back to Captivating Makeup. On today's video, I don't know why I did that. We're talking about Colourpop today. I picked out all my Colourpop palettes because Colourpop is one of my favorite brands of all time. They're what I started out with. I got all my Colourpop palettes out and I ranked them. Was this hard? Yes. Did my little Libra heart cry because I thought I was hurting Palette's feelings? Yes, I did. Are there going to be some surprising ones on here? Maybe, maybe not. But we are going to go through all of them today and discuss why I love these palettes. So, granted, they're in my collection. So that means I love them already. I love these palettes to bits. This is just me ranking. I still love each one. I still use each one. I'm not sitting here like, this is the worst palette on the planet. I can't believe it's in my collection. I am just talking about what I like and dislike about these palettes and why I ranked them the way I ranked them. So, like, subscribe, comment, whatever you can afford. Huh? And if you don't like my videos, I will see you on the way out. Bye. Okay, so my first palette. It's not quite a palette. I mean, it is a palette. It's a quad. And it is my Colourpop Sorbet Quad. So I remember a lot of these like ice cream themed quads came out. And I personally love the color story. It's this like mauvey, pinky, browny color story. So that's going to be one of the reasons why it is not up there on my list. It's a little crumbly. So if you can see, this is a mixture of me playing with the palette and me trying to fix the palette because it's very delicate and it's broken quite a few times. So I've had to repress the shadows a few times. But this is my second one. So I did go through one and now I have a second one and it's what I'm wearing on my eyes today. And for $5, I can't really complain that like the shadows break really easily, but I love the colors. I just wish it didn't break as easily. And the other thing is it's a quad, so there's not a lot of like combinations you can make with a quad. I mean, I'm sure you could figure something out, but at the end of the day, it's the same four colors, so you're still going to kind of get the same look no matter what. So I prefer something with a few more colors. Few more colors than this. But other than that, it's a good palette. It's definitely a good everyday palette if you like cool toned, like mauve-y looks. Paired with a brown mascara, which is what I have today. It's beautiful. So, I mean, not a bad palette. Sorry, it's crumbling everywhere. Not a bad palette, just a messy palette. And I definitely would not travel with this because I have traveled with it and it has gotten everywhere. Everywhere. So just keep that in mind. But it is $5 at Ulta, so you kind of weigh it just a little bit. Right, so that was number 13. I do have 13 palettes. Let me preface that. I have 13 Colourpop palettes, which is a lot more than I think a normal person should have, but this is just a portion of my collection of palettes in general, and I'm making the realization I have a ton of makeup. So I do apologize in advance, but also sorry, not sorry. Okay, next palette is the collaboration with Harry Potter. And this is the color story. It's very pretty. I have to admit I haven't played with it a lot. Because on one side you got these like warm tone nudes. And then on the other side you have a lot of these dark colors. And of course I've played with like the dark greens and the dark browns and those colors. And I've played with that red down there. And they're all very like pretty colors. it's not something I gravitate towards a lot. Like, the color story's pretty, but it's nothing like I am drawn to. I definitely wanted this because, like, the packaging is, like, 10 out of 10, beautiful. Like, it looks like a book. And the inside is super cute. I will admit, do not like what the author stands for. If you know, you know. But I am still a fan of Harry Potter because I think of Harry Potter fondly as a childhood memory and not a, one of my favorite authors became, like, well, not became, but came out as a TERF. And I try to remember the good memories about it while also reminding myself, like, of her inputs and what her money goes towards. And also, to preface, I did not buy this palette. An ex-friend bought me this palette, which might also be the reason it is lower down on my list. Because I'm sure I would love these colors more. And I probably should, like, pull it out and play with it a little more than I do. But I keep thinking about that ex-friend. I know, it's not about the quality. Like, the quality's good, don't get me wrong. It's just, I think about her when I pull this palette out, and it makes me upset. It's gotten better, but yeah, I should probably play with this more. It's a little lower on my list because of, like, personal reasons and because of the color story, but the packaging, 10 out of 10. Love the packaging. All right, number 11 is my Alice in Wonderland Lost in Wonderland palette, and this is the color story. I like the cool tones, like the neutrals and cool tones in it. I love the variety of colors. Like, the Down the Rabbit Hole right here is, like, blue with these gold, like, this gold shift in it, and this purple over here has, like, blue specks in it. Beautiful colors. The issue is that I have a hard time just using this palette because I feel like the combinations, I'm sure you could create something with these combinations, but I feel like it's harder to create something with this color story. I just feel like the colors, like, though reminiscent of the story, is not very cohesive. Now, the packaging, stunning. I love the little Alice's and the holographic. I love her falling down, the Cheshire Cat on the back. And it's a cute little, like, almost travel size palette. And like I said, I am sure you can come up with some looks with this. It's just, I have a harder time pairing things together with this collection. This was also gifted to me by a friend. Love her to death. This has nothing to do with her or anything like that. It's just more of I have a harder time doing. I'm glad I do have it in my collection. And it has some good memories, which is why I like to use it. I just feel like I have to go into other palettes to make a cohesive look. But other than that, like I said, the colors are really pretty. I love how they look on my eyes. Glad to have it in my collection. Alice in Wonderland. All right, so I wish I had the original one, and I might go buy it at some point if it's still in stock. But I used to have the original Sailor Moon palette, and as, like, hard as it is to create a color, like a look with it, I loved it when it first came out. I kept mine for years, and I finally had to get rid of it because it was really, really old. Like, really, really old. It was bad. Like, she had to go. But for my birthday, I did get the second one. So one of the complaints with the first one is that it focused mostly on Sailor Moon or Asami instead of focusing on all the girls. Well, in this one, it has all the girls on the packaging, which I'm really happy about. Well, at least most of the girls on the packaging. And it's the For Love and Justice palette. And this is what it looks like. Honestly, it has some beautiful colors. Like, I love this cool toned, like, looks with the purples, like the blues, the peach up here. This, like, duochrome right here in the corner is super pretty. Like, this is such a beautiful, like, palette and beautiful colors. But I think it suffers the same fate as the first palette, where I feel like the color story is a little hard to create something. Like, you can definitely make something with those blues and purples, and you can definitely make something with the peach and the tan up here in Save the World in this color. But I feel like it's a little hard to, like, make cohesive looks with it. I just find it a little hard. But I love the colors in it. That's the thing. I love the colors in it, but I feel like I have to grab into other palettes to get the exact look I want from it. But I like the packaging. If you haven't noticed yet, I have a lot of collaboration palettes, so be ready to see a lot of those. The friend who got this for me, I love it. I am just, and this has nothing to do with her or reflect on her, I just feel like I need to dip into other palettes, and I don't always love dipping into other palettes. But I did want this in my collection. I actually specifically wanted this one in my collection because I did love the first one so much. And I wouldn't mind having the first one back in my collection again. That's a video I need to do. Like, palettes they should bring back, because Raw Beauty Christie's palette, I finally had to get rid of it because it was so old. And I wish I could have it back in my collection because it's so pretty. It was such a pretty palette. That and the original Sailor Moon I would love to have back in my original collection. At number 9, we have the Bon Voyage palette, which was collaborated with BT21. I like the little wavy grid on this. I love the little characters on the front. He's my favorite because he's RM's character. So of course, he's my favorite. And this is what the palette looks like. Personally, I feel like this is just a rainbow palette. It's got some pretty colors. I've definitely played with a lot of the colors in here. I've made some rainbow looks, some like monochromatic looks, things like that. But it's definitely a rainbow palette. Like, I like this row of like light shimmers, and then I love that it has a white right here, because I feel like a lot of palettes don't come with a white. And I always want a white, like, shade to like lighten things up, or I love doing like white and gray looks or white and black looks. I've done a couple of those recently, real in love with those. But at the end of the day, it's a rainbow palette. I got a ton of rainbow palettes, and this isn't the first rainbow palette I think to grab for. Do I think it's cute? Yes, like, look at them sitting up there. Look at them on the back. Look at this. And do I love playing with it when I do play with it? Of course I do. It's just, this is definitely more of a summer palette, and I don't always want to grab for this palette when winter or spring or like fall. I really want to play with it during the summer. So this will get some use during the summer, but for now, well, I guess it is summer. But in those other months, I'm not as likely to grab for it. But I still love it. It's still a good palette. I keep prefacing, I'm sorry I keep prefacing, but I do love these palettes. Like, I give like some critiques, but overall I did want all of these in my collection. Like, there's not one here that I was like, I don't want it. These are all palettes I wanted. Next is the That's Taupe collection. And this is what it looks like. Shocked, are we? I think a lot of people are shocked, because I think a lot of people look at this and go, that doesn't look like you. Like, that is very, very taupe. And you're right, it is very taupe. But I used to wear this a lot when I went into the office. And, sorry, fly. I used to wear this a lot in the office, and I made some beautiful, like, office-ready looks with this. And I really enjoyed playing with it during those times, because it does lean a little bit more cool, a little bit more neutral colored, and it's very inconspicuous. It's very natural looking on me, but it's also very like elegant and like classy looking. Not classy. Like, it is a bunch of taupe colors because it is one of their like monochromatic 9 pans. But that's kind of why I love it. I like it for those days where I want to be a little inconspicuous. I don't want to like stand out with my colors, or situations where I don't want to stand out with color. That I want people to be looking at me, not the colors on my eyes. So this is a good palette. I think if you want something neutrally that's easy to carry and doesn't break apart as easily as the Sorbet palette, I think this would be perfect, especially if you're cool toned or a neutral girl. I think you're gonna love this. And this is a palette that I ended up loving a lot more than I thought I would, because I was really into color at the time. But a friend bought this for me. It's from Target. It's the Truly Iconic palette. And look at that. That is so pretty. Like these like pinky, grayy, like purple, like tan. There's a black in there. Like those colors are so pretty and they're so cool toned and they go with my skin tone so well. And they're beautiful. I loved wearing this palette into the office because I could pop a little color like this purple or this blue here, but I could also make it neutral, like with this like taupey gold color or the champagne color. Oh my gosh, like the little 9 pans at Target are super cute. And my friend got this for me for Christmas one year, and I looked at it and I was like, okay, good office palette. Like I definitely need those every once in a while because I have a lot of bright, colorful palettes and I wear a lot of pink on my eyes. I need something that looks a little bit more neutral, but this was a lifesaver. I really enjoyed this palette when I played with it, and I used it. It was in my rotation. Like I had a stack of palettes and I would rotate through every day, and I would challenge myself every day when I went to the office with my palettes. So whatever palette it was that day, I had to play with that palette and I had to come up with a look for work. And this one came into my rotation. That's Taupe also did. And the only reason this is above That's Taupe is because it has those pops of color that I could put, but still look work appropriate. So thank you, Davika, for this palette. I mean, thank you, Jen and Davika, for the palettes you buy me. I recognize all the makeup you get me, but really thank you for this one. Like, thank you for them, but thank you for this one. This one is a hidden gem in my collection, and I think more people should know about these. Next on my list, number 6, Twilight. So here is the Twilight palette. I did keep the cover because it is really pretty. And these are the colors. And I enjoyed this palette. I played with some greens, I've played with some blues, but it is a mixture of like dark, cool toned neutrals. Because I'm pretty sure you could create a bunch of neutrally looks with this palette, maybe with like a pop of color, but it's definitely smoky. It's definitely, I would say this is more of a night on the town palette than it is like super work appropriate, unless you wear smoky eyes to the office a lot. I feel like the tones are just too deep to, make it work as an office palette. But I love the packaging. I think they did an awesome job. I love the colors. I love these browns and these greens, the grays, the blues. Like, the colors are stunning. They're really pretty. And I want to play with this more because I feel like I haven't played with it enough. It's just the dark tones are a little intimidating, especially in certain situations. Now, I think I'll want to play with this palette more when the fall comes up, because this is going to be great for the fall. Like fall, winter, it's going to be so good. Like those dark, moody colors are going to fit so well. And I cannot wait to play with it in those months. It definitely is niche, but it is up there because it is colorful, and I enjoy a colorful look, and that's why it's a little higher up on my list. Now, this one also may come as a shock, but as you can tell, I might actually be a nerd with all the collaboration palettes I own, because so many nerdy things. But the next one is the Avatar The Last Airbender palette. So the Korra one was cool, but it was a rainbow palette. I feel like this one is so much more unique. First off, the packaging, super cool. But I feel like this one is so much more unique than the Korra palette. And I think it's on theme better than the Korra palette. Now, what Lethal Cosmetics did recently is also very stunning. It's very beautiful. And I love that. And I think I like it, but I think I like this one just a little better. The palettes, at least. Now, I do have an order coming from Lethal Cosmetics. Not because they gave me anything, but because I ordered stuff. I did get stuff from the collection. I didn't get a lot from the collection. But I did get some stuff I'll share here once it all comes in. Half my package is sent. So I guess we'll see the other half at some point. But the Avatar palette, this is what she looks like on the inside. And I feel like without even needing a full palette, the nations are just well represented. Like with the Air Temple, I love these mustardy neutral colors that they put in here. Like it's not just like whites or like, I don't know. It's very unique colors. It reminds me of Aang's like monk outfit a lot. And I feel like these are just so good for a neutral look, but can also be spiced up with color. I like this row a lot. And then the reds right here. So of course you got like your regular like bright red. Then you have this orange red up here, and it has the embossing of the Fire Nation up there because all the embossings are of the nations. And I like this orange red. I like that they did like an orangey red instead of like a dark maroon or something darker. I do like that they stuck to that color. And then the red shimmer is kind of like darker, like grungier, a little bit of brown in there. And I like how that looks. And then the Earth Kingdom, I feel like it's not just like greens or like just brown, but like it's this grayish brown and this gold color, but it's got some green in it, like it's a goldish green. And then this greeny, like pukey shade. Oh, this pukey shade is so pretty. And then these blues. I like that they only had one matte color and then they had two of these like shimmer colors because I love this blue, but then this blue like reminds me of the moon spirit. And I feel like they did with that, I feel like they did such a good job with this collection. I feel like the palette was really good. And I feel like they were just on par. On it when they did this one. The Lethal Cosmetics one is beautiful, but I will always remember this one as being a really good collection. I mean, even the highlighters were great. I didn't do the liners, but the highlighters were great. One was too deep, so I used it as an eyeshadow. And then the Appa Compact, I wish they still made that because mine broke. And I still have the pieces of it. Because it broke on the hinge, so it didn't like shatter, but I don't have the compact. Like the compact's broken and I refused to throw it away. So if they could make those again, that'd be great. If y'all could make those again, that'd be great. Maybe a little better quality. But the Avatar palette is up here because it is good and on theme. And I do like using the colors. I do like its categorization. I think this was just well done. My next one is the Winx palette. And I loved Winx Club growing up as a kid. And I like this like almost nostalgic little like everyone's got their own bubble and we're looking into each other's bubbles kind of look. And then the pastels. I am a sucker for pastels. And they have such beautiful pastel like colors in here, but they also go a little deeper. I don't like that they didn't have any like matte blues over here because I feel like some matte blues would have been great in this palette. But I do like this mint, like these greens in here and these pinks and the orange. I wish there was like a lighter orange and not the point. And maybe another yellow to go with this. But I feel like the colors are on point for the girls. Maybe not as many like dark blue shades. But the other shades just match so well with the girls. And I liked with the glosses that they did like colored glosses. So it matched the different girls and their outfits and their fairy components. Like, I really love this palette and I love the colors. And I feel like they did such a good job and they were so creative with it. And I feel like people didn't like this collection as much. And I was nostalgic about this. Like, I really enjoyed the colors. I enjoyed the formula, like the packaging. I felt like everything was really good in this one. So I don't know why people didn't like it as much, but maybe if they had some matte blues in this, maybe took out that Sonic bomb for like a matte blue, that would have been nice. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe not another yellow, because I think that Solaris and that Zenith color, Solaris and Zenith, would go so pretty together. I'm gonna have to pull this out and play with it again. There's a lot of palettes I need to pull out and play again, but I really need to go and pull this out and play with it again. Then, this is not going to be a shock for anyone, but it may be a shock that it's not on my top. The Pokemon palette. I love the Pokemon palette to death. I played with it the other day to go out to have dinner with friends for my boyfriend's birthday, and it was great. So we all know I love the packaging. Like, I've talked about this palette to death. Like, the inside's great. It is a rainbow palette, but I like the differentiation in the rainbow palette because you do have some neutrals over here. And you have this like interesting maroon shade down here. Like, so you have the neutrals, but then you also have these pops of colors. And I feel like the color, like it's, well, if you put every color in the rainbow, like it's bound to match something. But I feel like Pokemon is like a rainbow and a plethora of colors, especially like the OG Pokemon. And I like that there's some browns and there's yellows and these neutrally colors. Like, this gold is so pretty. But then you have like your colors over here. Like, you have your pinks, but then you also have like your purples, your blues, greens. I feel like I like that they did a variety of shades in each color. That it wasn't just like one brown and then one red and then one pink, and then like they gave a plethora of colors to really like be able to make some great monochromatic looks, but then you could also like mix everything together. And I do like that a lot. Holy crap. And I do like that there's not a black in here. I believe this is like a dark green, but I do like this gray. I do feel like Pewter City is a gray color. And I like that it has the gray because there are some Pokemon with like gray colors in it. And I think it just, like I said, I feel like all the colors just really match the vibe they were going for. And that's why I appreciate this palette so much. As an OG Pokemon fan, I really think that they nailed it with this one. And I was so happy to get my hands on this. I was trying to convince myself out of this palette, but now owning it, I am so happy I own this palette. I'm just so happy. Now, the next one. The Flirty Talk palette. This is number 2. And this is what the color story looks like. And if you know anything about me, I love pink. I love pink. Especially on my eyeballs. And I feel like these are just such beautiful pinks. And I love this like white color up here because I love palettes with a white color. But then I also love that there's the shimmer over here that's like a white base, but then it's got pink in it. And it really like makes the eyes pop, and you can put like a little in the corner. Like this, just my type right here reminds me of my favorite highlighter, which is Monster from Colourpop. And like these colors over here. And then I love the reds down here. I love how it goes from like pink to like a pinkish red and then true red down at the bottom. I feel like this is just such a simple like Valentine's Day palette, but it works and it's cohesive. I just didn't like the palette from this year. I didn't like the orangey reds as much. In the palette, I wanted something that was specifically like pink and red. And this just fit perfectly. And I had wanted this and I had convinced myself out of it for so long. And then I finally convinced myself to buy it. And I am so happy I bought it. Like, I have used this multiple times. And it has just made such beautiful looks. And even though it's not like a an IP or anything like that. I think it's got a cute, like, 90s, early 2000s aesthetic that makes me a little nostalgic. And I enjoy it. So she ends up at number 2. Now, number 1. This is my all-time favorite palette. My friend Jen got this for me. I had been craving it, and it sold out, and then it came back into stock, and I didn't have any money to buy it at the time, and I was like, dang, I hope it doesn't sell out. And then a week later, this arrives at my door because my friend overheard me, and I will get you back for this someday. But the Aurora Struck palette. And you'll see why this is my favorite. Look at this cool tone dream. Look at the greens, the purples, the blues, the grays, the dark colors, the light colors, the shimmers. It's just stunning all around. And the packaging is beautiful. Like, it embodies the color story exactly how you think it's going to be. I can't get enough of this. And I usually get overwhelmed with palettes this big, but this one doesn't overwhelm me. This one, I know exactly what to do with it and what colors to use and how to use it, because this is just my color story. It has enough neutrals that I could do something neutrally on my eyes, but it also gives me the opportunity for color, and I like a girl who can do everything. Jack of all trades. So this is my favorite palette from Colourpop. This is my girl. This is my go-to. And I especially love it during the winter. I feel like you make such beautiful, cool-toned, wintry looks with it. So Aurora Struck is my number 1. Thank y'all for watching. I really appreciate it. Tell me down below, what is your favorite Colourpop palette? What's your least favorite Colourpop palette? Is there any Colourpop palettes you've been dying to get? I would love to know. I love hearing from y'all. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful